I could trace my life in my hands, a map of sacrifices etched into the dry, cracked skin and broken nails. Cleaning houses wasn't a career. It was survival. It fed my boys, kept a roof over their heads, and gave me just enough dignity to look them in the eye. Or so I told myself. Each morning I pulled on the same pair of worn sneakers and took the bus across town, where I scrubbed the lives of wealthier people into perfection, hoping the bleach would hide the stink of desperation. The houses I worked in were grand, their walls breathing stories of a world I could never touch. The women who lived there smiled politely, offering me tea before disappearing into their own rhythms. The men barely noticed me. At least most of them didn't. But I noticed them. Their expensive colognes lingered in the air. Their shoes sat neatly by the door, their presence inescapable, even when they weren't home. The first time he said it, the words slipped out so casually I thought I'd misheard him. I was cleaning the stove, the burnt-on grease scraping under my sponge, when his voice cut through the stillness. He leaned against the counter holding a glass of wine. At midday, his tie loosened as if he'd already had the day's last meeting. When I understood, my entire body tensed. Money for sex, he wasn't crude about it. Not leering or forceful, just matter of fact. Like he was discussing a business deal. I turned him down immediately. The word no came fast, almost reflexive. But it echoed in my head long after I left his house. I told myself I'd drawn a line in the sand, one I'd never cross. But as the days passed, his offer lingered. At first, I avoided his house, trading shifts with another cleaner whenever I could. But life didn't care about my pride. The late notices piled up, and my boys' faces grew thinner with every meal. I stretched too far when his call came. An unspoken invitation to return. I picked up the phone. I told myself I'd go back to cleaning and nothing more. But as I scrubbed the sink in his empty kitchen, I felt his presence before I saw him. He was standing in the doorway, his gaze steady but not predatory. The offer was still there, hanging between us like the scent of lemon cleaner and soap. This time I didn't say no. When I followed him upstairs, my legs felt like lead. Each step carried me further from the woman I thought I was. His bedroom smelled faintly of cedar and something spicy, the kind of expensive cologne that lingered, even when he wasn't wearing it. The bed was made, its crisp white linens a stark contrast to the mess inside my head. When he touched me, his hands were warm but impersonal, sliding along my waist as if testing the weight of me. My skin prickled under his touch, every nerve alight with discomfort and something else. Something I didn't want to name. His fingers gripped the fabric of my blouse, bunching it as he pulled it over my head. The cool air hit my skin, a sharp reminder of how exposed I was. I didn't close my eyes, I couldn't. I stared at the room instead. The soft glow of a bedside lamp, the sleek lines of furniture that spoke of a life I'd never know. His hands moved with practiced confidence, tracing the curve of my back as he drew me closer. I felt the weight of him against me, the press of his body pinning me to the mattress. The bed creaked beneath us, the sound louder than it should have been. His lips moved against my neck, leaving a damp trail that made my stomach churn. My hands clenched the sheets, my knuckles whitening as I fought the urge to push him away. Every movement felt calculated, deliberate as if he were checking off boxes in his mind. I hated the way my body responded, the warmth that spread despite the revulsion bubbling under my skin. I told myself it was survival, that this was for my boys. But the lies tasted bitter. When it was over, he pressed an envelope into my hand, the bills inside crisp and neatly folded. I held it like it might burn me, the weight of it heavier than it should have been. I didn't go back right away. The money covered a month's rent, filled the fridge, and let me buy the boys new shoes for the first time in years. But it came with a price. I avoided mirrors, afraid of what I might see staring back at me. At night, I scrubbed my skin until it was raw, but no amount of soap could wash away the memory of his hands, When he called again, I answered, though I couldn't say why. He didn't offer more money. He didn't need to. My silence was all the agreement he required. It didn't stop with him. He introduced me to his friends, their gazes lingering in ways that made my stomach twist. The first time I thought I could say no, but when they pressed the envelope into my hand, I couldn't look them in the eye as I nodded. Their hands were rougher, their touches less careful. I braced myself for the sting of their grip, the weight of their bodies, pressing me into couches and counters and hotel beds. The smell stayed with me. Cologne sweat, the faint metallic tang of regret. I learned to numb myself, to disappear into the sensation until it was over. They didn't speak much, just enough to direct me. The silence was worse. It made me feel like I wasn't a person, just a body. I told myself it was temporary, that I'd stop as soon as I had enough. But the line I thought I'd drawn in the sand had long since been washed away, some nights after the boys are asleep. I sit at the kitchen table and try to balance the scales in my mind. On one side, my children's full bellies, their new clothes, the way they no longer whisper about what they want but can't have. On the other, the numbness that spreads a little further each time, making it easier to disconnect from what I've become. I've learned to float above myself during these encounters, to watch from somewhere far away as strange men's hands move across my skin. The numbness is almost comfortable now, like an old friend who helps me survive. My younger son hugged me yesterday, said I was the best mom in the world. His words were both blessing and curse, filling me with pride and self-loathing in equal measure. The cracks in the ceiling seem to mock me now, a web of compromises I can't untangle. But when I look at my sleeping boys, I wonder if maybe the lines we draw aren't always where we think they should be. Maybe they're wherever we can live with ourselves when morning comes. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing for more stories and leave your comments below. Thanks for watching.